Hello, DACs. This is Trudy Clark, Assistant Director of Statewide Assessment, and Ali Martinez-Wilkinson. She is our Professional Learning Lead from NWEA and also NDE. And we'd like to share a little bit about the Nebraska Formative Assessment Supports Network that we are both in supporting, and how you might, as a DAC, be able to use this information to support your teachers and leaders. FASN, Formative Assessment Supports Network, is a system of supports for Nebraska educators designed to advance student learning statewide. Really what we are hoping to do is strengthen assessment literacy for all educators, and also specifically to advance the implementation of formative assessment practices, because research shows and demonstrates that the use of formative assessment practice in the classroom really does promote and push forward student learning. And in times where we are still trying to recover from the pandemic, this kind of practice really does make an impact on student learning. So as I mentioned, formative assessment practice is an instructional practice that really strengthens effective instruction. It leads to increased student learning, and specifically, and more important, it encourages student agency over their own learning, specifically towards being able to provide their own feedback or peer feedback, and really understanding how to make the best and most effective use of resources that they are given in the classroom. And as Margaret Heritage, someone who is a forerunner and a very important figure in formative assessment practice or assessment for learning, states, the success of formative assessment as an enabler of learning depends on the knowledge and skills of teachers to implement this approach in collaboration with their students. It really, truly is one of the most powerful instructional strategies that teachers can employ in the classroom.
So what are some of the components of FASN? We want to, as Dr. Clark said, want to strengthen assessment literacy across the state, emphasizing those formative assessment practices, including the professional learning experiences. It's important that we have opportunities to learn about these practices. The alignment with the work of NDE and all of the different divisions focused on assessment literacy. So this is not a silo just from the assessment team. We work with other departments within NDE. We have partnerships with teacher prep programs, and then we have our formative assessment resources. So there are a lot of components that go into FASN, and so those are what we want to share with you next. So the professional learning, there will be coaching for teachers and school leaders, the structures and resources for activating professional learning communities, getting into those PLCs. We know how important those PLCs are. And then we'll have workshops and webinars offered in synchronous and asynchronous formats. So there is courses that you can go through at your own pace that the coaches are able to assign and let teachers know about the work that they can do on their own pace. So we've worked with different agencies across NDE, the different divisions. So we've worked with the content area leads, we've worked with the equity office, the Office of Special Education, the Office of Coordinated School and District Support, statewide teacher and principal support, MTSS, Title I and Title II. So this is not something that's being done in a silo, that we are working with all of the different agencies and different groups within NDE to make sure that we're not adding more to the plate. We are just organizing what's on the plate and making sure that best practices and instructional strategies that work for teachers and students. We also have continuing support for teachers. So individualized support for classroom teachers, lesson planning and team teaching can be done. Observations and empowering feedback. Teachers experience the power of formative assessment practices as recipients of high quality feedback themselves. So within this model, we have our coaches who are working with our teachers on a daily basis that are receiving information and receiving feedback from those coaches. We also have support for building leaders. So the coaches help create the environments that support innovation and growth, and they discuss with school leaders how they can best support teachers who want to implement formative assessment practices to fuel student learning and motivation. So these are things that we know without the building leader, we can't get any of this done. And so as a DAC, we know that you are one of the gateways to getting into our information and getting information to your teachers. So this is one that we wanted to make sure that we made you aware of. So the PLCs engage teachers in meaningful professional learning, put support structures in place to deepen the PLC experience in schools. The coaches can co-facilitate these PLC sessions with teachers in person and online, and the cadence is to be determined locally, just depending on what each group, each teacher needs. So the PLCs is a big part of the coaching network, making sure that teachers are working together, getting that feedback and understanding what next steps are. And finally, coaches are resources for each other. So we have a network that the coaches meet within, and so they get to meet with other coaches and discuss that best practices, exchange success stories, discuss any challenges that might happen, share lessons learned. So the coaches have a support system themselves to help increase the impact of formative assessment practices throughout the state. So not only are we building coaches that are helping teachers, we are also building that network of coaches across the state so they can support one another as well.
So you have our contact information here. Please reach out if you have any questions around formative assessment supports or professional learning in general. There is a link to our page on the assessment website, so you can learn a little bit more about us there. But please feel free to reach out to us. We just wanted to make sure that you had an opportunity to learn a little bit about one of the pieces of our team's work towards assessment literacy in our teachers, in our building leaders, in all Nebraska educators. And to remind you once again that formative assessment practice truly is one of the most powerful ways in which a teacher can really move student learning forward as they understand what students know and can do, and then make adjustments to their instruction as they learn at what stage the student truly is learning. Thank you very much for your time. And again, please reach out if you have any questions. Thank you.